following segment contains strong, uncaffeinated opinions about softball which will offend those who are happy with the status quo. The views and opinions expressed on Yara Said It are those of only the host. They do not explicitly or necessarily reflect nor represent the views or positions of Inner Circle, D1 Softball, and their respective affiliates or employees. The broadcaster and this segment cannot be held accountable for any pearl-clutching, prickly, hypersensitive tweeting or social media as a result. Not like he gives a anyway.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Yeah, I Said It. With yours truly, Victor Anderson. Woo! We got a lot to talk about on today's episode. Rules that are being put in place to make the game more consistent are being inconsistently called. Yeah, I said it. Today, we're going to talk about two of the big rules that have been the focal point of softball fans on social media and others who are broadcasting games in 2024. Of course, I'm talking about the pitch clock that's supposed to be implemented and enforced, and the runner leaving early from any particular base, mainly first base. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to our Inner Circle YouTube channel. Turn on those notifications so you don't miss any videos that we have out for our interviews. Also, this episode of Inner Circle coming up today on Monday, action-packed. We got thoughts from all the big series that took place this weekend, including Oklahoma State getting the victories in the series against Texas, Oklahoma handling business versus KU, and some milestones that I'm going to highlight. As, by the way, there's softball being played all across the country, as I ranted about on my social media platform earlier this weekend. Now, the first rule, the pitch clock. The Division I Rules Committee implemented the pitch clock where it says a pitcher has to throw their pitch to home plate within 20 seconds and a batter has to be ready by a certain period of time. There have been various instances, whether it's been broadcasting games, whether it's been doing PA announcing for some games, or just watching the games on television or as a fan, where I've seen this rule enforced against both the hitter and the pitcher. I was in Clearwater the opening weekend for the NFCA Lead Up Classic, and I saw a batter for the University of Iowa be called for a timing violation because it was a 1-2 count. The batter was given a strike, and the batter struck out. I have also seen the batter be called for a strike for a timing violation as they were, I don't even know if they were even ready, settling in the batter's box. Their name just got announced over the PA system, and the umpire called a strike on the batter for a timing violation. Inversely, I've seen pitchers be called for timing violations where you couldn't really tell if it was 20 seconds or 21 or 22. The intent of the rule, we understand, is to help speed up the game and help get more action involved, kind of like what MLB was doing with their pitch clock. And obviously, they have other issues with that sport, like star players gambling on the sport. Hello, Shohei Ohtani. But the spirit of the rule is not as prevalent. I mean, it's not a big of an issue in baseball because baseball should be a lot faster play game anyway. Softball seems to have umpires who want to selectively enforce the rule against the pitchers, selectively enforce the rule against the hitters. And coaches, with any new rule, find ways to stretch and try to manipulate the rule to their advantage. I got a tweet that I saw on my timeline on Sunday from one of our friends who follow our podcast. First of all, thank you for doing so. Follow us at Inner Circle SB for your thoughts. This is from Mike Lucko, who follows our podcast. He says, but true. The NCAA softball 20-second pitch clock is slowing the game down. He typed it in all caps. Watch Duke softball avoid violations by stepping off the rubber repeatedly at 18 or 19 seconds. Rather than pitch a few seconds later, it effectively doubled the time to deliver, eliminate, or fix. Well, Mike, since this is a problem, I'm going to provide a solution. 25 seconds, flat. From the time the ball gets back to the pitcher has 25 seconds to make a pitch to the batter. If the pitcher does not make that ball, or if they call time, okay, you reset the clock and you got 7 seconds. If the batter calls time, they reset, you got 7 seconds. And that's only allowed once per at bat. No stepping off the rubber, no stepping out the mound to break up the flow. We have that enough as it is. And again, you have coaches who are taking this rule in terms of the pitch clock and are finding ways to use it to their advantage, so to speak. Umpires, if you have a rule, please make sure you enforce it. And for the rules committee, we should have had language that was clearer when you implemented the rule in the summertime. When does the 20-second start? Sometimes they don't have a clock on the field. There are some SEC schools like Georgia that have the clock behind home plate. There are other schools that may have it internally. They may have it in the outfield wall to keep time. Other schools that don't have the resources, they have to rely on the umpires. And every umpire, just like every other rule, have a select way of when they start the 20 seconds. Some of it is when a batter steps in a batter's box. Some of them enforce it when the pitcher engages on the rubber, when the first foot makes contact with the rubber. Some umpires actually do 20 seconds once the out is recorded. Whatever it is, you need to make the rule clearer and more definitive and not leave this wide area of gray for individual interpretation, because when you have those issues, that's when we have the problems with the rule. So let's fix this pitch clock, especially with the postseason, because I don't want to see a postseason game, whether it's a conference tournament game, an elimination game in a regional, much less a super regional, and God forbid Oklahoma City in June, come down to a timing violation. But knowing some umpires, they'll want to make it about themselves and would do exactly that. But again, I digress. But that's not the biggest rule that has had the biggest gripe with the softball community, or softball family, as we all seem to say nowadays. Runners leaving early. The number of home runs that have been taken away by this rule alone is almost astronomical. We've seen it left and right. Eric and I talked about it on last Monday's episode with the Arkansas-Mississippi State series, how a 2-run home run from Arkansas got taken away from them. The next half inning, Mississippi State broke the game open. Essentially, that turned out to be the inning that let the Bulldogs not only win the game, but win the series versus Arkansas. We've seen that numerous times throughout the season. The most recent one took place this past weekend. Amanda Scarborough, our good friend of the podcast, actually had a tweet about that. And actually, she quote tweeted Justin McLeod from D1 Softball,